Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum to all of you guys. I hope you all are good. This is Noor and today the topic is eclipse or the main types of eclipses that are lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. So firstly we are going to discuss the definition of an eclipse, that what is an eclipse. So basically an eclipse occurs when one object in space blocks an observer from seeing another object in space. That it means that one object becomes the blockage system, the blockage agent, and it can also be referred as a traffic jam. Or the second definition we can say is that the eclipse is the obscuring, is the blocking of one celestial body by another, particularly that of the sun or moon. So the types of and or kinds of eclipses are lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. So firstly we are going to discuss the solar eclipse. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes in front of the sun, causing a shadow to fall on certain portions of the earth. So, solar eclipse basically occurs when moon is between the sun and earth, and its shadow and the moon's shadow moves across the face of the earth and causes these some areas of the earth as lighter or some areas of the earth as darker areas. So eclipse is not seen from every place on earth but only from the locations where the shadow falls. Like we can say that solar eclipse is only visible in some areas of the world and it is observed at daytime. Like as you can see in this diagram that between the sun and the earth there is a moon, and moon causes moon surface and moons coming in between them causes the shadow on the earth. So wherever the shadow will reach on the earth's surface, there will be it will be darker part, and where the shadow will not where the shadow will not reach, it will be a lighter part. So if we see some characteristics of solar eclipse, we can say that solar eclipse occurs at the time of new moon and it is observed basically at daytime, and it occurs 3 to 5 times in a year, and solar eclipse is totally visible in some areas of the world. And now in solar eclipse, there are two main parts of the moon's shadow. There are two main parts of the moon's shadow, like where the moon's shadow will be more, it will be referred as darker part, and where the moon's shadow will be less, it will be referred as lighter part. So let's see that which is the lighter or darker part. So umbra Umbra is the portion of the moon's shadow where the moon completely covers the sun, where the earth will not face a little part of the earth, and where the light will be completely blocked by the moon's shadow, and that part will be known as umbra. And let's see penumbra, the area of the shadow where only a portion of the moon is in front of the sun. It means that the other portion of the light of the sun will reach to the earth, and it will be referred as lighter part. So the umbra will cause the darker part and the penumbra will cause the lighter part. And if we see the total and the average time of solar eclipse, so it is just about 7.5 minutes. So here are the three main types of eclipses on the basis of what part of the shadow you are located in. So wherever the shadow of the moon on the earth will be darker, it will be a total eclipse, and where it will be lighter, so it will be called as partial, and so on. So what is a total eclipse? A total eclipse is where the sun is covered completely by the moon. So the eclipse when the earth will be completely darker, the earth will not face a little bit of the light at all. And in another eclipse is when the moon covers the sun but the sunlight can be seen around the edges of the moon. It means that Earth, the sun's light will reach the earth's surface from the edges of the moon, so that will be annular eclipse. And in partial eclipse is when only a portion of the sun is blocked by the moon. It means the other portion, the other half of the sun's light will reach the earth, and it will be referred as partial eclipse. And then we can also see that if its average time is just 7.5 minutes, but there can be some health hazard during solar eclipse. So it is highly advisable to all the people to not to look at sun during solar eclipse, because our retina get damaged or skin burn can result as well. So it is highly advisable to not to look the sun during the solar eclipse. Never look directly at a solar eclipse even though it appears darker. The harmful rays of the sun can still damage your eyes, and the skin burn or the retina can be damaged as well. And the second one type of eclipse is lunar eclipse. So a lunar eclipse occurs when the moon passes through the earth's shadow. When the moon passes through the earth's shadow, lunar eclipses have the same three phases or types as solar eclipses, including the umbra and penumbra. So lunar eclipse can be defined as it occurs when the earth is between the sun and the moon. When the earth, as you can see in this diagram, that earth is in between the sun and the moon, so the eclipse where there will be earth will be between the sun and the moon, it will be referred as lunar eclipse, and the earth's surface and the earth's shadow will darken the moon at all. So lunar eclipses can be seen by a much larger area of the earth than solar eclipses, because solar eclipses, during the solar eclipses, it can cause the eye burn or retina damage or the very harmful effects to our eyes or our body. But lunar eclipse can be seen by a much larger area of the world. They also can be viewed without special equipment to protect the eyes. The lunar eclipses are not totally dark, and a lunar eclipse can last up to 30 minutes or more. And the some characteristics of the lunar eclipse can be as that earth, when the earth will be between the sun and the moon, it will cause a lunar eclipse, and it can be seen from it can be seen up to 30 minutes or more. But here during the lunar eclipse, the earth casts a long conical shadow in space, so that causes the lunar eclipse. And lunar eclipse always occurs at the time of full moon. So as whereas we have discussed that solar eclipse always occurs at the time of new moon, but most comparably, lunar eclipse always occur at the time of full moon, and it is observed at night, whereas solar eclipse is observed at daytime, but the lunar eclipse is observed at night time. And lunar eclipse occurs almost twice a year, whereas solar eclipse occurs 3 to 5 times in a year. And then we will see that lunar eclipse is visible from all nighttime places. It is observed at nighttime, so where there will be light, where there will be nighttime all over the world, the lunar eclipse can be seen. And lunar eclipse can last up to 30 minutes or more, and it is safe to look moon during lunar eclipse, whereas it is not safe to look sun during the solar eclipse during the daytime. And then we see the interesting facts about eclipses, that the longest that a solar eclipse will last is 7.5 minutes. So the total duration of the solar eclipse is 7.5 minutes. And the most solar eclipses of any type that can occur on Earth within a year is 5. That mostly, that most if we will say that maximum where the solar eclipse will occur on Earth, it cannot be more than 5 times. So it can occur from 3 to 5 times in a year. And a total solar eclipse occurs about every 1.5 years, and animals sometimes become confused and behave strangely during a total eclipse of the sun. Animals, as they are creatures, and they cannot interpret the circumstances they face, so they become confused and behave strangely during a total eclipse of the sun. And we don't have a solar eclipse every month because the moon's shadow falls either above or below the earth during most months. But on rare occasions, when the sun, earth, and moon are aligned just right, the moon's shadow falls directly on earth and cause the solar eclipse. And at last, we will see some common myths that an eclipse occurs when an invisible dragon eats the sun. These are just myths and very interesting. An eclipse, the people say, the people conclude that an eclipse occurs the people conclude that an eclipse occurs when an invisible dragon eats the sun. What an interesting myth. And then they say that during eclipse, poison drops from the sun. That is totally not acceptable, and that is totally false. And then the world is coming to an end, so that these all myths are just myths and there is no reality at all. But today, we know how and why eclipses take place because of our scientists and the advancement of the technology. While eclipses have nothing to do with dragons, poisons, or the end of the time, they are amazing celestial spectacles. So that's how our today's lecture come to an end, and we will meet in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.